Welcome to r/Am I the Jerk, where a Karen who works at McDonald's gets what she has coming to her. I threw my drink at a rude McDonald's employee today. I've always treated food workers with extra kindness because I know how it is, until today. I've never had a drive-thru person be so hateful for no reason. This experience was so bizarre, and it all boils down to miscommunication. I ordered a burger, medium fry, and a large Diet Coke. But here's what happened when I pulled up to the second window. McDonald's lady opens a window and hands me my bag of food. Me, thank you. McDonald's lady ignores me and closes the window. Me, waits at the window for about 3 to 5 minutes for my drink. McDonald's lady opens the window. Do you want anything else besides Diet Coke? Me, no thank you, just the Diet Coke please. Her, stares at me angrily. Me, I stare back in confusion. She closes the window. I can see her complaining about me to a coworker, but I'm still lost as to what I did to make her so angry. I wait for another 10 to 15 minutes at the window. The car behind me started honking. She opens the window. Here, passes me what looks like carbonated water. Me, oh, I ordered Diet Coke, please. Her, yep, there's your Diet Coke. Me, okay, what's wrong with it? Her, we're out of Diet Coke syrup, so there's your Diet Coke you wanted. Me, but you didn't tell me you were out of Diet Coke syrup. You just asked if I wanted anything else besides Diet Coke. She sighs. Why would I ask you if you wanted anything besides Diet Coke if it wasn't for the fact that we were out of Diet Coke? Me, I don't know, because I thought you were being nice and asking if I wanted anything else, like ketchup or something. She sighs again. You're really not very smart, are you? So yeah, before I drove off, I threw the Diet Coke all over her and she started going off on me. I do regret my actions and I wish I had just let it go. I was just so angry she had treated me this way when I was pleasant, like I always am to service workers. I feel bad for whoever had to clean it up. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or the employee? Please let us know. Some fast food employees really can get crunk. I know this one lady who's a manager at Sonic, and 90% of their Google reviews are from people she's tormented. Am I the jerk for saying I'm second-guessing having a baby with my husband after he asked for a paternity test? I, 26 female, and my husband, Alex, 27 male, have been married for a year now. Recently, I found out that I was pregnant. This was not planned, however, we hadn't used any sort of birth control since we got married. My guess is that I'm only a few weeks along. I haven't seen a doctor yet. Anyway, I told him when he got back home from work yesterday. I was very happy about it because I've always wanted to be a mom. I was pretty sure I was all smiles when I told him, and I thought that he would be too once he found out the news. Let me add that he's been neutral about having kids. My assumption was wrong. Immediately he got super quiet and asked how in the world this could happen. I explained to him that while it was sudden, we hadn't used birth control, so it wasn't surprising. I thought he would have understood. For some reason, he didn't. After a few minutes of back and forth, he demanded a paternity test and told me that there was no way it was his. I was hurt and insulted. Let me be very clear that I did not and will never cheat on my husband. I have also never given him any reason to be suspicious about me cheating on him either. I was so taken aback that he doubted my loyalty enough to ask for a paternity test. I told him I couldn't believe he was seriously asking me for that. He said that I wasn't helping my case and that if I had nothing to hide, I would take the test and prove my loyalty to him. I honestly can't remember all that I said, but I ended up saying something along the lines of, if you're doubting me and my loyalty so much that you think I cheated on you and got pregnant with someone else's baby, then I don't think I want one with you anymore. I don't want to be tied to someone who clearly doesn't trust me. He blew up at me and accused me of cheating once again. It was a big argument, and he said I was being unreasonable, dismissing his concerns, and that asking for a paternity test was valid. In the end, I agreed to the test, but said that I stood by my words. We haven't spoken since the argument, and he's currently at work. I went to my friend for advice, and she said that while he was out of line for accusing me of cheating, I shouldn't have said that to him over one of his valid concerns, and that he clearly had a reason to feel that way about the situation. I can't fathom what made him feel like I was cheating on him. I was just so hurt that he would insult me like that and accuse me of doing something so disgusting when I thought we were supposed to have trust in each other. Am I the jerk for saying what I did? Edit. A lot of people are suggesting that he got a secret vasectomy that failed, and that did cross my mind. During the argument, I did ask if he got a vasectomy or was infertile, and that's why the baby couldn't be his. But he dismissed that and continued saying, "It just couldn't be mine. without providing me a solid reason. So in that regard, I really have no idea what to say. Edit 2. I should elaborate on the neutral about kids part. I told him while we were still just dating that not having kids was a deal breaker for me. He said that was fine because his stance on it was that if we ever have kids, it's fine. If something happens and we don't, that's fine too. I'm calling that neutral since I don't know what else to call it. So when I told him I was pregnant, I thought he would be fine with it like he said. But apparently, he just changed his mind about that and didn't tell me. Also, I have no issues with men wanting paternity tests. I just had an issue with him blatantly accusing me of being a cheater with no solid proof to back it up. I'm not saying he's definitely cheating, but people who cheat are pretty likely to project onto their partners and accuse them of cheating, out of guilt or whatever. You don't want a baby with this man, and no reason to assume you're cheating. And unless you two get significant couples therapy, why would you stay with someone who believes you're cheating on him? It's always projection with these guys. Time to check his phone, not the jerk. Assuming you have no history of cheating, the only reason he would act like this is if he's cheating, not the jerk. Not the jerk. He sounds unhinged. My boyfriend wants to buy a boat, and I'm $40,000 in debt. We've been together almost 10 years. I own the house we live in. Due to unemployment, he stopped contributing to the bills over 5 years ago. For the past 3 years, he's been back to work, paid off all his debt, and his only bills are his car insurance and our cell phone bill. I've asked him a dozen times to start contributing, and it always turns into a fight. He tells me if I need money, I should just ask for it, but I don't believe that's a good substitute for giving me a specific amount I can rely on every month for bills. I also do 95% of the grocery and household shopping. I've made bad decisions and buried myself in debt trying to live a lifestyle that I should be able to afford if I wasn't supporting him. He wants to buy a boat. I'm about to take a $9,000 per year pay cut at work. He knows how much debt I have. I've decided I'm breaking up with him, selling the house to pay my bills, and walking away happy with probably $100K in my pocket, literally life-changing money. Am I overreacting by ending a 10-year committed relationship without talking to him about it one more time and giving him a chance to make it right? To answer some common questions I'm seeing, I already rent out a room to someone. I didn't mention it because it didn't seem relevant. I've raised his rent starting next month. He's also had a really sweet deal for a few years. I have a very good job. I work for USPS. The problem is USPS is going broke and they've realized they can pay a part-timer $20 an hour to do what they pay me almost $40 to do. I don't know how bad it'll be yet, but it's looking like a $9,000 to $10,000 per year pay cut. I'm trying to get ahead of it before it hits. The benefits are great and I don't have a degree, so there's no real way for me to get into a higher paying job. I'm considering Instacart or DoorDash once it does hit. It just doesn't seem fair that I have to work 2 jobs while he sat on his butt for 2 years. And listen, I get it. Selling is a bad idea. A house is an investment, but I don't really see any other way of getting out from under this debt. I don't want the hassle of trying to rent the whole thing out to someone and pay for an apartment myself. I don't want to have to maintain it. It's way too big for me, and I don't even think I want to stay in this state. Sell now, pay off debt, put money away, and earn interest on it. Then in a year or so, once I've got my head straight, hopefully move somewhere warmer. Third edit. He already has a boat. A cheap boat, if there is such a thing. He wants a nice new boat, so he doesn't have to keep putting money into the one he currently has. Update 4 months later. I spent a decent amount of time setting things up for myself behind the scenes. I had a safety plan for myself and my cats in case he got angry. I spent a long time putting a plan together for what I would do after selling my house. I broke up with him in early June. It was one of the most emotionally difficult things I've ever done. We talked for hours over multiple days about what went wrong. He didn't get angry, just sad. I was really sad too, and I still am, but we're both on the same page now, and we agreed that it's the best thing for both of us. He moved out right away and has been slowly moving his stuff out. It took me about 2 months to get my house ready for sale, but once it was listed, I accepted a very good offer within a week. Closing is 3 weeks from now. I decided to take this opportunity to completely change my life. I'm moving across the country. I already have a place and a job lined up, and I'm really excited about my future. I'm making about as much money as I expected, paying off all my debt, and investing a large amount of what's left. I'm moving to a lower cost of living area, and my expenses will be considerably less than they are here. The job I have lined up will pay about the same as I make now, so I'll be in really good shape. I've already signed a lease for a sweet apartment. Maybe I'll look into buying again in the future, but for now, I'm just looking forward to a fresh start and the opportunity to make my life exactly what I want it to be. Did he ever say why he wanted to buy a $40,000 boat instead of helping you pay off your debt? OP. Sort of. He just wasn't thinking, I guess. Somehow, he always thought I was fine, even though he knew how much debt I was in, and even though I begged him so many times to start contributing. In his mind, I must have been fine because I never asked him for a specific amount to cover specific bills. I love this ending. I hope you're moving to a cool city and make lots of friends. OP. Very cool city where I already have a couple of good friends and I can't wait to meet more. Married coworker, female 34, keeps trying to cheat with me, male 26. Let me start by saying, yes, I'm an idiot, and yes, I'm dense, but I really need some advice. I moved to a new location at work a few years ago. I had just broken up with my fiance because she cheated after 4 years and married the guy a few months after we broke up, so I was in a pretty crappy headspace. I made a connection with one of the women on the sales team, and I was one of her primary service people. Whatever customers she sold or did business with, I did her installs and repairs. We gelled pretty well and got along. She was a nice woman with a husband and some kids. We had already built some rapport talking about issues with work, her boss, and the customers. She told me about some of her issues with her husband, their families, and some personal issues she was having. I figured she just wanted someone to talk to, so I listened. Then she started making comments that I should do my EOD paperwork near her so I don't have to be alone and we could talk. A few times, she would ask me compatibility questions and then compare me to her husband. One night, I was working alone in the upstairs office after my first day back from vacation. She came running up all giddy about something. She told me about some things that happened and asked about my vacation. She said she would like to stay in touch away from work because we are friends. I initially didn't see an issue, so we traded numbers. Then she lurched up and kissed me. She left blushing and I was stunned. Now things have gotten out of hand. I thought if I just let things go and didn't acknowledge it, she'd take the hint. I know I should have said something. She's been a little obsessive since then. She greets me at the door when I come in. She has made a big deal about me not answering her texts since I have nothing going on. She's tried to leave when I do so we can walk out into the parking lot together. She made up an emergency that she needed me to come over to her house on our day off to help her with something in my skill set. I didn't pick up on it. I thought she needed actual help. So I go over and I'm trying to fix what she's talking about, and she comes back out in a nightgown and says that her husband and the kids aren't home. Which, saved by the bell, the garage door started opening and she darted away. Her husband comes in, asks about what the issue is, and she comes back out in her normal clothes and acts like nothing had happened. I said I needed a part and it's easy. I wrote it down, said he can just plug and play with the part. I was just a deer in the headlights and I didn't know what to do or say otherwise, so I left. What do I do? Also, I'm just curious, if this can be answered, does she want an affair in general or just an affair with me? By the way, my coworker knew I had recently been cheated on and was struggling, so I'm kind of shocked she did this. Update. I told her I didn't want to ruin her marriage. I was just recently cheated on, and this is just triggering all the hard feelings about that, and I didn't want to be like my ex. She said her marriage was basically for show and for the kids, which they literally go to events together, so that was odd for me. She admitted that she married him because she got pregnant. She wound up having 2 more kids, but she's miserable. Her husband's family hates her. Her stepdaughter despises her. This is very consistent with what my buddy and colleagues told me. He said he's known her for 8 years. She's never talked about her husband, only her kids. He suspected they stayed together because she got pregnant. He mentioned she began talking about me more than her kids or her husband, and she was getting agitated if I didn't answer her or if I didn't spend a lot of time near her. She had already tried to do our compatibility and compare me to her husband. She also brought up that I listen and understand her better before she pursued a physical affair. But it's becoming out of control. She kissed me at work, always tries to catch me in the parking lot or get us alone, and is getting jealous if I talk to other females, clients, or coworkers. My female friends have taken notice and made comments that she's possessive and jealous, and they're getting really weird vibes from her without knowing what's going on. A few clients gave funny looks when she reacted to seeing me coming in for the day. I stopped in to grab something before a few days off, and I was trying to be quick. She texted me, "Were you here and didn't come say hi to me?" I didn't know how to process all the information she gave me and what I received. This is overwhelming to me. I'm still hurt from my last relationship, and it's just setting off so many things in my brain, and I can't make any sense of it. I saw her today. She literally went running from where she was, skidded to a halt in front of me, and was smiling super silly and just amped. She was so excited to talk to me. It had only been 2 days since we addressed what happened at her house, and I said I needed a few days to process the information. Now what? Edit. I did not hook up with her at any point. You need to stay away as remotely as possible. Your career and reputation are gravely at stake, along with your peace of mind and well-being. She's a walking time bomb. If coworkers and clients are noticing, it's already being discussed in the office. You need to nip it in the bud ASAP and get ahead of it. You need to inform your manager and HR. Don't hesitate. She has nothing to lose in bringing you down with her. Do not destroy your career and your life for just a piece of you-know-what. Be glad you didn't go all the way with her, especially one giving major weird and red flag vibes. I beg you to stop engaging, distance yourself, and get ahead of this by going to the sources within your company that can protect you from future allegations and conflicts with her. OP. I tried to address it. I tried to shut it down. She hit me with all this extra information and it was overwhelming. I already have tried to set those boundaries, but she's acting like the conversation never happened. Am I the jerk for lying to my girlfriend in a video game about lying? Plus 2-year update. So this is a situation that I'm quite surprised to find myself in. I would say it's actually ridiculous if I wasn't stuck in the middle of it. Background. My girlfriend, who's 25, and I, 27 male, have been together for about 8 months. Before our relationship, my girlfriend spent nearly 2 years in a relationship with an absolute jerk. Not only did he spend the entire time cheating on her, he also constantly gaslit her. Everything was her fault, no matter what. I wish I had the space to describe just how awful he was. We met about 6 months after she finally escaped from that relationship. From the beginning, she has made it clear to me that any dishonesty is unacceptable to her from anyone she's dating, even white lies. I bring this up as it's pretty relevant to what this post is about. I was playing Among Us yesterday with a group of friends when she came over. She watched me play for a bit before I offered her a try herself, as she had already done a bit of gaming with my groups. She really got into it. She really enjoyed it. So I pulled out my laptop, created a Steam account for her, and bought her the game so we could play it together. For those who don't know, Among Us is a social deduction game where a group of players try to figure out who the imposters are before the imposters succeed in defeating them all. The imposters generally have to be good at lying to win. I'm sure you can see where this is going. Second game in, I'm an imposter and I defeat somebody right as someone else walks into the room. Now there's only me, the guy who saw me, and my girlfriend left. He accuses me of being the imposter and I accuse him. My girlfriend is the deciding vote. She doesn't know what to do. I say, I swear I'm not lying. So she votes for the other guy and I win the game. My girlfriend gets up and says she has to leave. I tried texting her a few times, but she ignored me. I finally hear from her this morning, where she sends me a text saying that she feels like she can no longer trust me. It not only bothers her that I swore I wasn't lying to her when I was, but it also really bothered her that she wasn't able to tell I was lying even though we were in the same room together and she could see my face. She understands that lying was part of the game, but she wanted to believe that if I swore something was true, she could believe it no matter what. Now she can't. She needs time to think about what this means for our relationship. I got very defensive at this point and told her I couldn't believe she was making a big deal out of a stupid game. I haven't heard back from her since. Am I the jerk? I don't think I am, but I am regretting ever buying her the game. Okay, not that I think it's going to affect my judgment, but I have to ask, she knew that lying was a big part of the game before you played? OP. Yes, she knew, and she knew it could be me. I actually lied to her before in that match. The only lie she really cared about is when I said, I swear I'm not lying. No, not the jerk. Very close to no jerks here. She knew that lying was involved in the game and she chose to play it. Was your choice of words perhaps somewhat unfortunate considering her history? Yes, but again, she knew lying was part of the game. Not the jerk. Your girlfriend needs therapy to deal with these issues. It's terrible what happened, but it's also not realistic to expect you to never tell a lie to the point that you can't even play a game together. OP. The only lie she took issue with was at the end, where I swore that I wasn't lying. She had no problem with the lies that took place before that. Update, 18 months later. First off, my girlfriend and I are still together. We have since moved in together. When I posted my original Am I the Jerk thread, the consensus seemed to be not the jerk. But looking back on it, I think even when I was writing that out, I was kind of a jerk for what happened. I remembered reading some of the replies regarding my girlfriend and how she needs to get over herself, and just becoming more and more angry at those comments. It was at that point where I was getting angry and wanting to defend her, that I realized that yeah, I was kind of the jerk. I shouldn't have looked in her eyes while I swore I wasn't lying, and I shouldn't have become overly defensive and minimized her feelings by saying it was only a game. I gave it a day or two before I was going to send an apology, but she contacted me first to apologize for her behavior. I told her she had nothing to apologize for and that I completely understood and that I was sorry for how I reacted. Then there was a lot of both of us apologizing and trying to place all the blame on ourselves. She had gone over to stay at her sister's place after what happened. At first, apparently, my girlfriend wouldn't really explain what happened to her besides that I lied to her face, but after a day or so, she finally explained the event. And then her sister actually defended me, saying that this would be a really stupid reason to end what seemed like a good relationship. This surprised me since I didn't actually think that she liked me. It was after this talk with her sister that my girlfriend called me. We met up, and after talking, it was obvious to both of us that she still has a lot of issues from her jerk ex that she needs to work through, and that we might have gotten together too soon. But we both really like each other, and we didn't want to end the relationship, so we decided to stay together and try to work things out. She started seeing a therapist, which has done wonders. I don't think, even after the event and after we made up, I fully realized just how much damage he had done to her. I swear, sometimes I wish I could find that guy. I'm so glad that our relationship survived that. She makes me even happier than anyone else I've ever met. I couldn't imagine my life without her. And hey, last month we actually played Among Us again. It was her idea, since I haven't played it at all since that happened. We had a lot of fun together. Although I did insist we play in different rooms, and I definitely stayed away from saying, I swear, which she told me she found kind of cute. My Karen neighbor is trying to get my dog taken away. I, 22 female, and my partner, male 24, purchased our first home in January of 2022, and we absolutely love the neighborhood and our direct neighbors who are right next door. We're the youngest couple in this area, with most of the people being older or retired. We also have no kids. We just have a 2-year-old Siberian Husky who's my baby. The problems began as soon as we moved in, with complaints piling in, first about our lawn. The house was abandoned before we purchased it. Then there was a noise complaint about our dog. For a Husky, she barely makes any noise, so I was surprised about the complaint, but I just let it go. About 9 months into living at the house, my partner purchased me an antique car which needed some work done before it could be driven. It was parked far into our long driveway, not yet tagged because we had just purchased it, and one tire was off to be fixed. The very next day, we got a nasty letter on our door from the city about an inoperable vehicle on our property that must be removed. We found this very strange, and after speaking with the inspector, who simply told us to move the car, we found out that there's a person in our neighborhood who keeps reporting us but remains anonymous. I got close with my closest neighbors and tried to ask them for advice on what to do. They both said the most likely person to be reporting us is the neighbor across from us, an old lady and her husband who live with their blinds wide open, just looking outside 24/7. Their daughter, a Karen in the making, drives around the neighborhood looking for people to report. My partner and I just happened to become the latest victims, and she apparently really hates us. I decided to just be nice to her and try to win her over with kindness. Big mistake. About 2 months ago, I fixed up my motorcycle and decided to take it out for a ride to enjoy the warm weather. While it idled in my driveway to warm up while I geared up, I saw the daughter come by with her kid to my neighbors across the street. The kid seemed very interested in the bike, so I gave a little wave and hopped on the machine to ride off. I enjoyed the ride, and when I returned and parked the bike in my driveway to do some basic maintenance, a police officer rolled up to my house. He claimed there was a complaint out about me riding recklessly, doing wheelies and burnouts, and being a danger to the neighborhood. I was completely floored and tried to plead my case that I went for a ride and I didn't even stay in the neighborhood. He let me off with a warning, and as he drove away, I noticed my neighbor standing at the window staring at me. From that point on, I decided to mind my own business and not act friendly to them. Fast forward to this past month. My partner and I had to travel to New York for my family, and we decided to take our dog with us. We had a wonderful time, and when we got back to our home, we only had 4 days to wash clothes and repack before heading off to California for more family time. Within those 4 days, my partner worked days and I worked nights, so that our dog was never left alone. Trust me, this becomes important. 3 days ago, I dropped my dog off with a trusted friend whose dog always plays with mine. I paid her $800 to watch my dog at her house for 2 weeks. My home is empty at this point, and I fly to California to enjoy a relaxing vacation. I get video and photo updates of my dog playing and having a blast staying with my friend. This morning, I get a text message from one of my good neighbors saying animal control stopped by my house and she asked me if my dog was okay. I was extremely confused because I had just gotten a photo of my dog cuddled up on my friend's couch. I decided to call the city and see what was up. The city told me that there were multiple reports against me for neglect and improper care of my dog, and that a full investigation was going to be conducted against me. I was at a loss for words. I'm across the country right now, and this neighbor has stepped too far, trying to take my very spoiled and well-cared-for dog away from me. All my friends and next-door neighbors can vouch for how loved this dog is. So now I'm waiting to hear back from animal control to explain my case. I have no idea what's going to happen next if they try to take my dog or inspect my house. I'm exhausted and tired of the harassment by this neighbor. I'm hesitant to get pregnant out of fear that this neighbor would call the authorities and lie about me. I feel watched and unwelcome, and I'm not sure what to do. Any advice from those who have been through something similar is very appreciated. Is there anything legally I can do to make it stop? Update. My dog was taken to the shelter by my friend to be examined by a vet. They took photos as evidence, but released my dog back to my friend. I have not heard anything new about the investigation yet. I also requested Freedom of Information Act from my city to read the anonymous email that was sent. I was told my request would take 5 days to process and may cost me a fee to have access to it. It also remains anonymous, so I'll only be able to read what was written. Hopefully, I can use the words to somehow prove it was them. This is really frustrating, being far away, and I feel like I'm being treated like a criminal. Thank you all for the advice. I'm installing cameras and a fence as soon as I get back. This is harassment. Please keep a journal with dates and times of neighbor actions. Then contact a lawyer for a cease and desist letter. Your lawyer can help guide you in the future. Am I the jerk for taking a day off for myself without telling my husband? My husband, 38 male, and I, 40 female, have been married for 8 years and we have a 4-year-old son together. I work for a regional park district managing the outdoor recreation and education program. Basically, I work outside 90% of the time. The summer is by far my busiest time of the year and I routinely work 6 days a week. If I can make it work, I'll take a day off during the week to offset my hours because our weekend events are the ones I'm most needed at since they're bigger. I'm salaried, so don't get overtime. This is not new. I've been in this position since before my husband and I got married. He knows how busy I am this time of year. Since our son was born, my husband has gotten increasingly grumpy during this time of the year because he obviously has to be responsible for our son during the weekends when I work. We fought about this a number of times because he feels like I should talk to my bosses about getting other people to take over some of my weekend events so that he doesn't get stuck with our son by himself every weekend. I feel like he needs to suck it up because this is nothing new to anyone, and it's only a small portion of the year that my schedule is like this. His argument is that there is nothing he does that leaves me parenting by myself for similar amounts of time, and that there needs to be more of a balance in that area. This past weekend, I had events on both Saturday and Sunday, full 8-hour days and outside in the heat. By the time I got home, both nights I was exhausted and just wanted to take a shower and go to sleep. I tried to watch a movie with them on Saturday night, but fell asleep on the couch. Last night, I crashed by 8 p.m. This morning, I told my husband I was going to work from home for a bit in the morning to offset my hours. But after my husband took our son to daycare and I started looking at emails, I changed my mind to just take the day off and get some rest and maybe do a few things around the house. I must have fallen asleep on the couch because I woke up to my husband making himself lunch in the kitchen. He regularly comes home for lunch because his office is nearby. I asked him how his day was going and a few other questions, and he kept giving me one-word answers. I asked him if he was okay, and he told me he was tired and feels like he hasn't gotten a break all summer, and it's frustrating for him to come home and see me napping when I told him I was going to work from home. I told him I was still tired from the weekend and decided to take the day off. He said he's tired too, and that I need to start doing a better job of taking his needs into consideration instead of just focusing on my own. He said it's not fair to him to work 5 days a week, then be solo parent all weekend, while all I do is work and sleep. I told him that summer is almost over, so my weekends will be free again soon. But all he said was, "Since you're rested now, you can pick up son from daycare. I won't be home for dinner." You're the jerk. Not for the day off. Everyone should get one from time to time. You're the jerk because your husband is 100% parent during every weekend of the summer months, in addition to having a full-time job Monday through Friday. He's asked you to talk to your bosses about getting more people, but you've refused. So I guess this is life for him now. June through August, full-time parent every weekend. Also, all of the household chores on the weekend, cooking, mowing, etc. You've dumped too much on him, and your answer is basically, get over it. You're the jerk. You don't refute what he said, that there are not times where you are solely picking up all parenting duties for him. He's not complaining about being a dad and parenting. He's upset that you're stretching yourself so thin that you can't be an equal partner and parent, and are unwilling to even ask if it's possible for your responsibilities to be shifted so you can have the schedule your responsibilities require. If you were a man and he was a woman, nobody on this sub would be siding with you. I'm interested to know why you can't and won't try to delegate at work to alleviate some of this stress on your husband. Like, is it an income thing where you are the primary breadwinner and you can't afford to rock the boat at work? If so, how do you help him refill his emotional tank after your busy season? If I were him, I feel pretty taken for granted. Sounds like you're the jerk. You have a family now. You can't pretend you don't just because this is a busy time of the year. It's incredibly unfair to make your husband take on every weekend in the summer because your boss can't figure out how to keep employees, and you won't put your foot down about an occasional weekend. It doesn't sound like Hubs is asking for every weekend, just for you to give a little. You're willing to sacrifice your family for work. Are you willing to do a little of the reverse? You people on this sub are crazy sometimes. Plenty of women have the kids all weekend long, and everyone just acts like it's fine. But when it's a man, it's poor dad can't handle it. It's not like this is a new thing. Dad knew full well what his wife's schedule was when they decided to have a kid. It's not like mom is gone for 15-hour days on weekends. I assume it's a normal 8-hour workday, so dad is perfectly capable of taking care of his kid during that time. It's also only for a few months a year. Not everyone works a normal 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. Dad can deal with it for a few months a year. It's called being a parent. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or her husband? Please let us know. I'm just glad we don't have kids, Reddit boy. Do this next. Tap here on your screen to come see our new podcast playlist, where you'll find thousands of hours of the best stories you've ever heard. Or tap the one on the right. That episode is specifically just for you, based on other videos you've enjoyed the most.